Hello everyone, this is Dave, and today, let's get creepy with 5 Halloween creepy DIYs. DIY number 1. I found this really cool looking mirror at the Dollar Tree, and I had a whole bunch of these little skulls as well. I got a little package of about maybe 8 to 10 of them from the dollar store, and what I'm doing is I am just going to cut the back off of the skull such that the skull can lay flat. Now, how I'm doing this here with the X-Acto knife is probably not the safest way to do this, and later on I did discover that if I just had it laying down it would have been totally fine, so just be really careful. So now all I'm going to do is I am going to throw some hot glue down, and I'm going to place that right in the center of that little mirror, hold it there for a little bit, and then I'm just going to add a whole bunch more of hot glue all the way around. And you may be asking yourself, what are you doing? Let me just tell you, it'll come together in a second. There's a method to my madness, but right now I'm just putting a whole bunch of glue where the skull is because I want it to kind of look like it's peering through the mirror. And now I'm just going to throw a whole bunch of glue just all the way around, give it some texture, kind of a creepy look to it. And I'm just filling it with that glue. And of course you can see I'm using a lot of glue for this, which is fine. It adds texture, it adds a little bit of fun and creativity. And then I'm just going to let that totally dry. Once it's all dry, I just make sure everything's good, take off a little bit of the excess glue, those little strands that we all see. And here I just have black acrylic paint and a paintbrush, and I'm just going to go through and apply a generous coat of black acrylic paint on the glue and on the skull. And of course, you may think, oh, well, that doesn't work well for me. Trust me, wait a little bit, I'll show you my next step. Again, there is a method to my madness. This is just the second step. We still have another step to go. So once that's all done, I'm just going to let that dry. Here we go. We're all dry now. And I noticed too that you could see a little bit of the mirror in the background. I had gold acrylic paint, gold metallic acrylic paint from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to use that with a little bit of a paintbrush, and I'm going to do like a dry brush, very light with the pressure on the brush, very light with the paint. And now you can see all of that texture with the gold highlight is totally coming through. So originally we had that matte black on there, and now we're going to put a little bit of gold on the top, and the whole thing is going to pop like crazy, and I just love it. And I couldn't believe I found this mirror. This mirror was exactly what I was looking for. So I totally lucked out with that. And I'm just finishing off the gold touches here, the gold highlights. And once it's all done and dry, it's ready to hang with my creepy skull mirror. Look at that. I love it. It's so cool and creepy. So here we go, a little bit of a close-up look of it, the black and gold skull mirror. Oh, I just love it. I mean, I love cutesy Halloween, but I also love creepy Halloween, so that's why I decided to do this video. So here we are, DIY number 2. For this, I found these these wood bases at the dollar store, and I couldn't believe I found them. I picked up 4 of them right away as soon as I found them. So to start off our DIY number 2, all I'm going to do is paint that base with black acrylic paint, all the sides and the top. And then of course, you'll see in a bit what I'm going to use this for. Creepy! All dry, and now I've X marks the spot, and I'm going to drill just a small hole in it, right in the middle, and you'll see why in a minute. And of course I drilled at the top as well. Now this hole's going to be covered, so I didn't really care, you know, if it was a little bit scratched or whatnot. I'm totally cool with that. But step 2's done, and let's move on to the next step. I have these lights that I got from the Dollar Tree, and this creepy looking baby head. I bought it just like this. I didn't do anything to it. I couldn't believe I found it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, I know what I'm doing with this. This is a creepy skull, or creepy baby head. So I just glued it onto that base, held it there for a little bit, and now I'm just going to unravel, and I'm going to put my batteries in for those lights. I just love these fairy lights. You can use them anywhere, anytime. I think they are so cool. I'm so happy they came out with these. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start feeding all of those fairy lights right into the head of the baby doll. Now here's me walking through the dollar store, and I turn the corner and there's a shelf or two full of these baby heads. Like, that totally creeped me out. I thought it was so funny. I had to laugh at myself. I was like, oh my god, what's that? But here I am, I'm almost done. I'm putting all of the wire in there. And then at the very last stage, I'm just going to throw some hot glue on the back of that battery pack, and I'm glued on the bottom, and it fit perfectly. I couldn't believe how perfectly it fit. It was just, this all came together, and look at that. Isn't that creepy? Now let's turn the lights out. Ooh, very creepy. Be careful, it's coming! It's coming after you! DIY number 3. I found these little bottles with little caps to them at the Dollar Tree. So again, I bought 3 of these, and I thought these would be perfect for those poison bottles. You know, those apothecary bottles that are set for Halloween. They're so cute, they're so fun. So all I'm going to do is I'm stamping the black acrylic paint on here, and I'm not too worried about 100% full coverage because there's a little bit of iridescence to the bottle. And with me just stamping it on there, it actually showed through a little bit. Not too much, but it showed through a little bit, and I thought that was kind of a neat little detail. So I only did 1 coat, and that was it. I covered all sides, and then at the very end, once I was all done and checked, I just covered the top, and I let those all dry. And here that is, it's all dry. For this one, I wanted to be kind of a zombie tonic, so I wanted to be spilling out of the little bottle there. So I'm using this bright yellow and this bright green color, and I'm just putting a whole bunch of excess on the top and letting it all drip down. Now I will say with these bottles, I first put labels on all of them, and I didn't really like how that looked. I liked how the plain black looked. And you'll see later on, you'll see sometimes the labels will show up. But I did end up painting over those labels, and I wasn't really too happy with the labels. Let's put it that way. So for one of the toppers, I just took the plastic part off, and I took one of my skulls that I had that we've used previously, and we will use again in this video. And I just attached it with hot glue, held it down for a bit, and then that's what I'm going to use as one of the toppers or stoppers for the bottles. And you'll see me paint it black later on as well. Here we go. My hand is covered in paint because I have been painting. And you'll see the little label there that I actually painted over later on. And here I'm just painting this all black. It's the same matte black that I've been using. This is all from the Dollar Tree. These acrylic paints are all from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to give that one good coat of that black paint. And then once that's all dry, I'll come back and do finishing touches on this bottle. But I just love how this turned out. Those little skulls, perfect for this. I just loved them. And here we go. I have my poison bottle, I have my skull bottle, and I put a little spider on top and add some of that gold metallic paint on there. What do you think of my poison bottles? DIY number 4. I had this little birdhouse. It's a little cute birdhouse from the spring and summer. And I think I got this one at the Dollarama. I can't remember. It was a dollar store. And I don't want the cutesy stuff on there. I want this to be a haunted birdhouse. So with my little screwdriver, I'm trying to take off, and you can see very unsuccessfully, trying to take off those little wood applications on there. I started fighting with it, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get every little piece off. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just deal with it. It's not all coming off, and I'm not going to spend 3 hours trying to get them all off. And I thought, you know what? This is good enough because I'm just going to be adding tissue paper on top of it. So I'm going to grab my tissue paper, and I use 2 sheets of it. Now, I don't use all of it, and I think in the very end I could have just used 1. But I have 2 sheets here, and I'm just going to randomly rip these up into pieces. And once I get all that into pieces, I'm going to grab my handy-dandy Mod Podge that we all love and adore, and my little paintbrush, and I'm going to give it a good coat of that Mod Podge. And once I cover it, I'm going to start adding my tissue paper. Here we go with my first layer of tissue paper. I'm just going to start with that, hold it down, and then of course, grab my paintbrush and paint over some Mod Podge and get that all down and laid down. And you'll notice those little applications, the remnants of it, it doesn't really show up after I applied the tissue paper. You can see a little bit of it, but I actually think that adds to the character of the house, right? Or should I say the haunted house? I'm just going to let this dry now that it's all coated, and then later on I'm going to start painting the roof and the base of it. So here we go. It's all dry, well, maybe 80% dry. So now I'm going to grab some more of my black paint, and I'm going to paint both the roofs, front, back, sides, and the eaves, and I'm also going to paint the entire base black as well. That is basically the theme or the color of this whole video is black. And here we go, I'm painting my base, and once that's all done, I'm just going to let that dry. For a little bit anyways. So now it's almost dry, but I have these squishy skeletons. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they are so fun. I mean, you can stretch them. Of course, don't stretch them too far because I just broke one. All I'm going to do with this is I'm going to hot glue those just onto the base, and you'll see in 2 seconds how awesome this looks. I just thought this looked so cool. At first I had this idea to stick them on there, and I was like, I don't know if that's going to look too good. But then as soon as I started sticking them on there, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And now I'm just trying to figure out where the rest of them are going to go. I actually only used 5 of them, because I thought it would have been too much if I did it all the way around. I just wanted a little bit of an accent of those skeletons on there. And once they're all on there, nice and secured, I'm going to grab that acrylic black paint, add some more on there, and then I'm going to start covering up those skeletons. They do fade in the distance once I put that black paint on there, and once it's dry it does go all matty, you can see. But trust me, wait until I put that gold application on there. They pop just like the skull mirror that we were just doing. So after I cover it all, I'm just going to let that sit and dry for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back with my accents. But first, I want to add some creepy cloth to the roof of my haunted birdhouse. And for this, really easy, I'm just going to eye it, chop a piece off or a couple of pieces off. And once I have all that set, I'm going to put some hot glue down, and I'm going to start adding those to the roof. And you don't have to be, and I didn't want to be perfect on this actually. I wanted it to look creepy, I wanted it to overhang a little bit. So I'm not perfect at all. I'm not cutting off any of the straggling threads or anything. I just want it to be rustic. Well, not rustic. I want it to be kind of scary. And what's the theme? creepy. I will say when you're gluing this down, when you're gluing the creepy cloth down, to use a tool or something instead of pressing your fingers up against it, because I did press my fingers up against it a couple of times, and of course the glue just comes right through and onto your fingers, and well, it's hot glue. It's hot. So here you can see me, I'm using my little tool there, and now I'm just going to continue on the other side of the roof, and I'm just going to do the same method, layering it up a little bit, and I ended up using 2 layers. That's all I needed and wanted, and then I just chopped it off a little bit. And my final roof, chop that off, add it on, and fold it over. I'm going to give it a little bit of a trim, just because it was a little bit too much. And now, trimming at the front. And at this time, my haunted house is all dry, so now I'm going to come in with that gold accent. And again, this is the same gold metallic paint that I've been using throughout the DIYs here today. And once you put it on, again, those skeletons really come through. And once I apply it onto the house as well, you can really see the creases, the corners. It just adds such a wonderful depth and texture to your creation. So I'm going to finish this off on all sides, and we are all done with our creepy haunted house. And here it is in all its glory with its skeletons, all ready for ravens or crows to come in and nest. Our final DIY, number 5. Here I have an empty bottle, and I have, like I said to you earlier on, I have all these skulls, and I'm going to cut the backs off the skulls just like we did at DIY number 1. And I'm going to do the same method as that DIY and just glue those skulls on there. So for the first one, I glued 5 of the skulls down, hold them in place, let them dry for a little bit. That top one gave me a couple of problems, but after a while I glued it all down again. There's all my skulls all glued down. And for this, I didn't worry about taking off any of the labels because I'm going to, number 1, you'll see, add some hot glue to add texture to this, and I'm also going to paint over it. So you see me here, I'm filling in all the cracks because I don't want those to go anywhere. And then all I do is I just start randomly doing like a starburst pattern, just the center of the skull outwards, and that's going to create some wonderful texture. You're going to see later on, after you paint it black and once you add your accent color, because you don't have to use gold, you can use silver if you want, or because it's Halloween, if you want to do an orange accent color, you could totally do that as well. I just decided this Halloween I wanted to do a theme of black and gold for this. So that's why I used that gold metallic. Plus I had it there and I thought, oh, this would be really cool for Halloween. So here I am filling in all of my crevices and everything, and I'm adding some more of that starburst effect with the glue gun, and I'm just getting that all set up. And I did use, I think, maybe 4 or 5 glue sticks for this, which I'm totally fine with that, because I will admit this, when I was done with this project, I was blown away. I was like, this looks so good. And you'll actually see in the final video that I shot, the 2 of them that I made with the candles at the top glowing, I actually put it out on my little credenza that I have downstairs. So here we go. I'm going to let that all dry, and then we're going to come back. It's all dry, and then I'm going to grab that black acrylic paint once again. I love this paint. It covers so well. I hope they never change the consistency or the formula for this because it's so good. And here I am. You can actually see the little starburst that I made with the glue guns a little bit more. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a really generous coat. I'm going to cover the entire bottle. I'm going to cover all the skulls with my black acrylic paint. And while I do that, I'll just keep quiet and let you listen to the spooky music. Now we are all done and all dry. Guess what we're bringing back out is that gold metallic acrylic paint once again. And I'm doing the same method, very light pressure, very light paint. And basically, I mean, you could do half of it with just one little dip of paint. And you want to just lightly accent those starbursts and those skulls as well. Just really kind of highlight them with that gold paint. And you know what? The best way to do this is to start off small and then keep adding to it, because it's easier to add to it rather than take away, right? So don't load your paintbrush up too much if you're going to attempt this. Just a little bit is good, and then just kind of get the feel of your paintbrush and how it affects the paint and the application and everything. So I'm just going to continue with this until the very end, until I got the coverage that I'm looking for. Here it is, all finished. I love how this looks. And like I mentioned earlier on, here it is downstairs on my little credenza with white candles, and the candles are going, and it looks so good. I was just so happy with it. I didn't set my camera up or anything. I just took a video quickly with my phone, and I thought, oh, I have to show everybody this because I just was so happy with it. And here we are, our baby head, our skull candle holders, our skull mirror, and what else did we make today? Our poison bottles and our haunted house. 5 creepy Halloween DIYs. Are you creeped out? Do you love it? I love how each and every one of these turned out today, and I hope you did as well. And maybe, hopefully, you're going to run out and grab some black and gold paint to create your own creepy Halloween DIYs. I had so much fun today. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and maybe leave me a comment down below. I love hearing from you. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care. Bye for now. And don't forget, let's get creepy.